Jesus, born in Bethlehem and raised in Nazareth, lived a life filled with purpose. He preached God's love, healed the sick, and offered hope to the downtrodden. His teachings resonated with the common people, drawing large crowds eager to witness his miracles and hear his message of peace. Jesus' ministry challenged the religious authorities of his time, who viewed him as a threat to their power and influence. Despite the growing opposition, Jesus remained steadfast in his mission to share God's love with humanity. He knew his path would lead to suffering, but he embraced his destiny with unwavering resolve. He often spoke of his impending death, preparing his disciples for the trials to come. Jesus' teachings centered around love, forgiveness, and the promise of eternal life through faith in him. He taught that God is a loving Father who desires a relationship with all people. Jesus' message of hope resonated with those seeking spiritual guidance, offering them the promise of a life transformed by God's grace. As Jesus' popularity grew, so did the animosity from the religious leaders. They plotted to silence him, fearing his influence on the people. Their jealousy and fear would ultimately lead to the fateful events that unfolded during the Passover week in Jerusalem. The Passover festival, a time of celebration and remembrance for the Jewish people, became a backdrop for betrayal and injustice. Judas Iscariot, one of Jesus' own disciples, conspired with the religious leaders to betray him for 30 pieces of silver. Under the cover of darkness, Judas led an armed crowd to the Garden of Gethsemane, where Jesus had gone to pray. With a kiss, Judas identified Jesus, and the soldiers seized him. Betrayed by one of his own, Jesus faced the beginning of his ordeal. Jesus was brought before the Jewish council, falsely accused of blasphemy and sedition. Despite their efforts to find him guilty, the charges against him were baseless. Nevertheless, the religious leaders were determined to see Jesus silenced, driven by their fear and jealousy. Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor of Judea, became entangled in the plot against Jesus. Though he found no fault in him, Pilate succumbed to the pressure from the crowd and handed Jesus over to be crucified. The crucifixion was a brutal form of execution reserved for the worst criminals. Jesus, innocent and blameless, endured the excruciating pain of nails being driven through his hands and feet. He was mocked, beaten, and forced to carry his own cross to the place of his execution. As Jesus hung on the cross, he suffered unimaginable physical and emotional pain. He cried out to God, asking why he had been forsaken. In that moment of utter despair, Jesus bore the weight of the world's sin upon himself. Two criminals were crucified alongside Jesus, one on his right and one on his left. One of them, touched by Jesus' compassion even in his suffering, asked for forgiveness. Jesus, in his final moments, offered the repentant criminal the promise of paradise. As darkness covered the land, Jesus breathed his last. The earth trembled, and the curtain in the temple, separating the Holy of Holies from the rest of the temple, was torn in two. Jesus' death marked the ultimate sacrifice, a testament to his boundless love for humanity. For Christians, the crucifixion represents the ultimate act of love and sacrifice. Jesus, the Son of God, willingly laid down his life to atone for the sins of humanity. His death on the cross paved the way for reconciliation with God, offering forgiveness and eternal life to all who believe. The resurrection of Jesus 3 days after his crucifixion is central to the Christian faith. It stands as a testament to Jesus' victory over death and the promise of new life for all who follow him. The empty tomb serves as a beacon of hope, reminding Christians that death is not the end but a transition into eternal life. Jesus' sacrifice on the cross continues to impact the lives of millions of people around the world today. His teachings of love, forgiveness, and compassion inspire acts of kindness, generosity, and selflessness. The cross serves as a constant reminder of God's immeasurable love for humanity and the hope that is found in Jesus Christ. The story of Jesus' crucifixion is not just a historical event, it is a living testament to the transformative power of faith, love, and sacrifice. It is a story that continues to resonate with people from all walks of life, offering them hope, healing, and the promise of a life transformed by God's grace.